My name is Paige. I am 30 years old. I am currently pregnant with my first baby with my husband, Timothy. My belly is quite huge now. It looks like a watermelon. I have a friend named Rachel, and she has 2 children in elementary school. She gives me plenty of things that are convenient for pregnant women. Rachel came to visit me today, too. Here you go, Paige. I bought the tatami chair for you. These cute Japanese chairs are so in right now. I have one more in a different color. So you can have this. Wow, really? Thank you so much. You always bring something interesting. Don't hesitate to tell me if you need anything after you give birth, okay? I have prams and a small baby beds. I used them for my boys when they were little. They've grown up now, so these things are just in the attic collecting dust. Really? Thank you so much. You're a huge help, Rachel. Rachel, you truly are amazing. Because you're able to take good care of your children while having an honorable job. Well, I couldn't do this all by myself. I'm able to do these things thanks to the help of my husband and mother-in-law. Your husband Timothy also helps out with the household chores, right? Yes, he actually does help me sometimes. I'm grateful for that, but he's totally hopeless when it comes to cooking. Yes, that's right. At the time, I felt very happy because I was blessed with the people around me. However, one day, my mother-in-law called me on the phone. Hello, Paige? Ah, mother-in-law, how are you? Is everything okay? I had a conversation with Timmy on the phone a few minutes ago. You're in the last month of your pregnancy, right? If you don't mind, how about you and Timmy live together with me? What? In your house? Yes, exactly. That way I'll be able to easily support you. I really am very excited for the day when I'm able to hold my grandchild in my arms. Actually, the daughter of my neighbor gave birth to a healthy baby yesterday, and I have a good relationship with my mother-in-law. I heard that she has a bad relationship with my father-in-law who passed away before I married my husband. But my mother-in-law was very kind, so I can't imagine her in a bad relationship with anyone. So my husband and I decided to live together with my mother-in-law. However, as we lived together, my mother-in-law's attitude towards me changed. For the first few days, she was kind to me, like always. However, after a week passed, I feel sluggish. I should probably rest for a while. Hey, Paige, what are you doing there being lazy? Oh, mother-in-law. Look at the table. There are food scraps all over the dining table. Wipe the table properly. Ugh, she's been like this for the past few days. I'm having the worst time of my pregnancy. Wait, isn't that the food scraps of the food she was eating earlier? Clean it up yourself! I don't know what she did to my kind mother-in-law. She turned into a completely different person. She started treating me like a servant. So, of course, I said what I actually felt. My body actually feels a little sluggish right now. I'm sorry, but can you please do it yourself? You said that you would help me out. That's why we agreed to live together with you. That's how I responded to her sometimes. However... What? You're the wife? How dare you say that to your mother-in-law? You're the worst, monster wife. She looks more like the troller monster to me. That's what I thought inside my head, but my mother-in-law kept on talking very loudly, so I feel worse now hearing her annoying voice. I decided that I couldn't say anything that would stop her from talking. Without a choice, I stood up and started cleaning. My mother-in-law reacted to this by laughing out loud. As long as you understand, after you finish that, cook pancakes for me. Don't forget to brew tea for me, too. I'll be in my room knitting, okay? It seems like my mother-in-law enjoys it when she sees me struggling. Then the next day, I went outside to take out the trash. Our neighbor, Mrs. Evans, happened to be outside, too. When she saw me, she asked, "Are you all right? I'll help you if you need anything, okay?" She told me out of nowhere. After listening to Mrs. Evans, things made a lot more sense. Apparently, my mother-in-law used my father-in-law to do this and that. To the neighbors around, my mother-in-law looks like a good wife to her husband. Maybe because she's good at pretending to be one. However, the abusive words that my mother-in-law yelled at my father-in-law were so loud that the direct neighbors heard them. She told me that she heard my mother-in-law bullying me. My mother-in-law bullies the people who she considers to be in positions lower than hers, and she puts on a mask as a nice person to the people outside. My mother-in-law is a horrible and nasty woman. But I still have no clue as to why she suggested that I live with her. When I was in the last month of my pregnancy, it's probably because ever since my father-in-law passed away, she has no one to bully, thereby having a monotonous and boring life. I'm not entirely sure, but that's probably it. At the knitting class that she used to attend, her neighbor, Mrs. Evans, started going there too. That's why she stopped going there. That's probably one of the reasons why her days are boring lately. Mrs. Evans knows about the true character of my mother-in-law. That's why they don't get along well together. Also, since I married her son Timothy, she thinks that I have a higher position than her. At least that's what I heard. My mother-in-law gave birth to Timothy, so she loves her son very much. Apparently, she thought that if she bullied me, Timothy might hate her for doing that. However, no matter what my mother-in-law did to me, Timothy never said anything to stop her. So my mother-in-law's bullying escalated and continued. My mother-in-law is very competitive, so she competes with her neighbor, even when it comes to children and grandchildren. That is why she is very excited to see her grandchild. But that same grandchild she is excited to see is in my belly. Despite knowing that, she keeps on bullying me. Is it her brain or what? What's worse is that my husband is also... Hey, Timothy, your mother is bullying me even more lately. It's getting worse and worse. I've been stealthily recording her with video and audio recording. Take a look at this. When I showed Timothy the video that I recorded of his mother bullying me.
Huh?
What do you mean, huh? I'm serious. Take it seriously. Timothy didn't mind about what his mother did to me. He tries not to get involved in this struggle that I have against his mother. He probably thought that it would be better if he stayed out of it. He stopped trying to help with the chores at home, too. When I tried to go back to our condominium to live there, he just answers yes, but I never see him pack his things to move out with me. It would have been fine if that was the only problem I had with him. That same day, I decided to pack my things up and move out of there without him. So I started packing up my things. My mother-in-law always found something to complain about my cooking when I was in the last month of my pregnancy. What's worse is that she keeps on asking for seconds and thirds for the rice. I feel so irritated and it's not good for my health at all. However, that night while I was making dinner based on what my mother-in-law requested, Timothy came home earlier than usual.
I'm home.
Timothy didn't look well at all. Actually, I decided that day to talk to him about me, going back to our condominium by myself, but welcome home. Is everything all right? You don't look well.
I made a big mistake at work today. My supervisor scolded me and told me to go home early. This is the worst day of my career.
Is that so? I didn't know how to respond immediately, so I was at a loss for words and stopped talking. That's when Timothy got angry and said,
Is that so? That's it? You think that this is not your problem at all, don't you?
What? To my shock, Timothy took out his anger on me. What? No, I don't think that at all.
You're too loud! Shut up! This is all your fault! This happens because you don't have a good relationship with my mother!
What? What does that have to do with my relationship with your mother?
You're annoying me! This is all your fault!
That's when my mother-in-law walked into the room. Timothy, what happened? Why are you shouting? My mother-in-law, who was knitting in her room, walked into the living room where Timothy and I were quarreling.
It's nothing.
Timothy puffed up his cheeks and said that. He then pulled out the chair and sat on it.
Food.
He looked in my direction and said that with an angry look. Seeing me frowning at my husband's attitude, my mother-in-law laughed and sat on the chair next to her son. I see, so you're quarreling. Paige, you shouldn't do that, you know, because Timothy comes home from work exhausted. You truly are a useless wife to him. If I were to rate you, I'd give you 0 points. I mean, I take that back. You're a negative. These bastards! What in the world is wrong with them? My mother-in-law who bullies her daughter-in-law, and a husband who doesn't rescue his wife from the bullying, but instead takes his anger out on his wife. There's no way I will call them my family. I will get a divorce. I made up my mind to get a divorce. While I heated the soup that I cooked earlier, I secretly sent a message to Rachel. Then that night, I served simmered fish and some side dishes, but just like always, looks like dog food. This is how my mother-in-law has been bullying me lately, so I'm used to it. However, you think so too, right, Timothy?
That's right.
What? This was the first time that Timothy complained about my cooking.
How dare you cut corners in cooking? You know that I work hard every day and come home exhausted, but this is what you serve me? You're a useless wife!
To my utter shock, Timothy threw the food on the floor. She truly is cutting corners with her cooking. Okay, now, Paige, go and cook us something better right away. Oh, but before that, don't forget to clean up the mess on the floor. You've got to be kidding me. You crazy mother and son! I won't forgive them anymore. Now that it has come to this, I will make them pay for what they did to me. That's right. I already prepared punishments for these two. Well, it's just normal that I take my revenge. However, my husband and mother-in-law have no idea what I'm up to. My mother-in-law laughed like she always does. Timothy, on the other hand, was furious and puffed out his cheeks. Paige, why are you standing there in a daze? Are you in shock because Timothy just said that you're a useless wife? This is hilarious!
How dare you mock me, you incompetent wife!
That's right. Stop standing there in a daze and go cook dinner again! While my mother-in-law's unpleasant laugh echoed throughout the room, I picked up the fish that Timothy threw on the floor. I faced the worst mother and son to ever live on the planet and smiled at them, saying, "I'm sorry, I'll stop cooking for you."
What?
After that, I threw the fish that was thrown on the floor inside the garbage can. Huh? There's no way we'll allow you to do that.
That's right. Housewives should not skip doing household chores. I come home every night physically and mentally exhausted. Also, what do you mean you won't cook for us?
That's when the intercom rang. My mother-in-law sniffed with a puff and she commanded me to get to the door. So just as she ordered, I headed towards the front door. And then I invited Rachel to come in. Sorry to bother you at this hour. Huh? Who are you?
Rachel?
I asked her to come. Huh? Timothy knows this, but Rachel is actually a lawyer. What? A lawyer? With that said, I will resign as Timothy's wife.
What?
I'm thinking about getting a divorce with you, Timothy. Also, I want to ask you for child support and demand alimony from your mother for bullying me. In order to do all that, I asked Rachel to come here today. By the way, Rachel was the one who advised me to record videos and voice recordings of them bullying me. Huh? What are you saying all of a sudden?
That's right. Do you want a divorce? You're overreacting.
The way they treated me, I'm sure no wife will stay with him forever. They always only think for themselves, so they cannot think of things like this happening. Rachel ignored both of them, who were crying like puppies. Here you go, Paige. I brought the papers. Rachel said and handed the papers to me. What? Wait a second. If you get a divorce, what'll happen to the baby in your belly? In the case of a baby being born after a divorce, the mother will have full custody of the baby, no matter how you think about it. Child support and property management for the child is essentially the responsibility of the mother. When Rachel says that, my mother-in-law reacts. What? No, that shouldn't be. My mother-in-law shook her eyes from side to side and said the following words with a desperate look in her eyes. I've been looking forward to the day when I can hold my grandchild in my arms. Every time I hear the babies cry from the neighbors, I feel mortified that I can't see my grandchild. I've been waiting so long to have a grandchild. If that's what you want, then why did you bully me? Well, I guess you don't have to have a reason. Bullying people who are weak does not mean anything to you. It's just sort of like a habit for you, right? Well, now you're just suffering the consequences of your actions. Please, let me see my grandchild. I'll never do this again. Please don't say that you'll get a divorce. Huh? There's no way I can believe your words. Huh. Just like that, Timothy and I finally got divorced. Just a few weeks later, I gave birth to my daughter. But then Timothy and his mother came to visit me at my parents' house where I moved into. Paige, please forgive us. Get back together with Timothy. I want to hold my grandchild in my arms. It's about the money. I'll pay even if it means I have to borrow money.
Paige, I beg of you, please come out. After we got divorced, I got fired from work, and my mother's very bad at cooking. My life is a mess. I want to eat the delicious food that you cook!
Come to think of it, his mother hates cooking. Whenever Timothy and I visited her in her house before we started living together, she always used to buy ready-made food from the supermarket, such as sushi side dishes and salads. I completely forgot about that. While I was listening to their voices from the other side of the door. What did you just say? How dare you diss my cooking skills? You're the worst son who only does part-time jobs. You don't even have a proper job. Also, you're not popular with the women, so Paige is probably the only woman who would give birth to my grandchild. What a good-for-nothing son you are!
What did you just call me?
Good grief. They used to have a very pleasant relationship, but I guess things have now gotten sour for them. They were very loud and there was no use in arguing, so I called the police and reported them. When the policemen arrived, the sound of fighting changed into crying. It became quiet and peaceful again after a minute after the police arrived. After that, I received child support payments from Timothy, and I received a huge amount of alimony from his mother because she insisted. Apparently, she thought that I would let her see her grandchild if she pays me a huge amount of money. I never told her that I would do that, though. What's worse is that the money she paid as alimony was borrowed money. After Timothy was laid off, he struggled to find a new workplace, so he ended up working part-time jobs. The two of them losing financial stability and losing the mental capacity to handle stress, they kept fighting on whose fault got them into this situation. Just as they expected, they cut ties with each other. Timothy now lives in a small apartment where the bath and toilet is shared. He works different part-time jobs from early morning until late at night. He still has the child support to pay for, so it seems like he's in tatters for working very hard the whole day. I heard that Timothy's mother also started working a part-time job, but apparently she can't do her job right, so she did different jobs but always made mistakes, so she got fired on all of them. As a last resort, she finally got her hands dirty on black market money. She now lives miserable days while getting chased around by scary-looking men. She used to eat a lot, but now I heard that she can't swallow food now. Because of that, she is now very thin and frail. I heard all this information from Mrs. Evans. Actually, that day we had a little conversation outside the house. We exchanged contact numbers. When I heard about the miserable situation of Timothy and his mother, my chest felt lighter now. Well, as for me, I am currently living together with my daughter at my parents' house. When my daughter grows a little older, I plan to work at the company where I worked before I got married. My parents' house is located very far from the place where I used to live, so I can't see Rachel every day like I used to before, but we sometimes call each other on the phone. Hello, Rachel! Thank you so much for the baby bed that you sent. No worries, it's not a big deal. I'll go back with my daughter to live there soon, so allow me to show my gratitude in person, okay? No need to go out of your way to thank me. It's just furniture that I wasn't using after all. But I truly am thankful for your help. Alright then. How about we go out for a barbecue? Great idea. I'll treat you! In order to indulge ourselves in premium meat, I'll set aside the alimony that I received so we can use it. Ha! Just kidding. Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!